I never thought the girl who used to babysit my child would end up standing at the altar with my husband. The same girl I once trusted in my home. The same girl I used to pay by the hour. And yet, there she was in the dress that should have been mine, smiling as if she'd won. But what she didn't know then was that I wasn't done with her. Not by a long shot. My name is Olivia, I'm 35, and it all started 2 years ago. Back then, I thought my life was perfect. I was married to a man I adored. We had a little boy, just 5 years old at the time. I was juggling motherhood and a career, which meant sometimes I needed an extra set of hands. That's how Eva came into the picture. She was 19, bright-eyed, eager for work, and she lived just down the street. She became our babysitter. At first, I was grateful. She had this way of connecting with my son, playing games, reading to him, making him laugh. She was sweet, helpful, and honestly, she felt like a little sister to me. But little by little things began to shift. Simon started coming home later and later. When I asked, he always had excuses. Work ran late. Traffic was bad. The usual lines. At the same time, Eva started acting different. She wore more makeup. She dressed a little tighter. She lingered a little too long in conversations with him. At first, I brushed it off. I thought maybe I was just being insecure. But a woman knows. Deep down, I knew. One night, I came home early from a work event. My son was asleep, and the house was quiet. Too quiet. I called out, "Eva? Simon?" No answer. Then I saw them, together in the kitchen, way too close. His hand brushed hers as she laughed at something he said. It wasn't a kiss, not yet, but the air was thick with something unspoken. When they noticed me, they both jumped apart like guilty children caught red-handed. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just stared. And in that silence, I think they realized I knew. The next few months were hell. My marriage unraveled piece by piece. Simon grew colder, more distant. Eva stopped babysitting altogether. And then one day, he dropped the bomb. He was leaving me. Not just leaving, he was leaving me for her. My babysitter. I felt like the floor had been ripped out from under me. My husband. My family. My life. All stolen by a girl barely out of her teens. I won't lie, the pain nearly broke me. Nights alone in bed, staring at the ceiling, asking myself over and over, why her? Why not me? But something else grew inside me too. Anger. The kind that simmers and hardens into resolve. If Eva thought she could just waltz into my role as wife and mother, she was in for the hardest lesson of her life. By the way, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. It wasn't long before I heard the news. Simon and Eva were getting married. Less than a year after he left me. Can you imagine? Watching the man you once loved start over with someone who used to eat pizza on your couch while babysitting your kid? The audacity made my blood boil. But here's where it gets interesting. Eva may have taken my husband, but she had no idea what it really meant to be a wife. Or a mother. And I was about to make sure she learned the hard way. Because the truth is, when the honeymoon phase fades, real life sets in. And Eva was not ready for that kind of life. Not even close. And that's when my plans started forming. Simon and Eva thought they were starting a fairy tale. I let them believe it. I smiled when my son came back from their weekends together, repeating things Eva said about being his new mommy. I let her play the role because I knew something she didn't. Being a mother is more than baking cookies and taking cute photos. It's sleepless nights, endless laundry, bills piling up, tantrums, and sacrifice. And Eva? She wasn't built for that. It started small. My son would tell me, Eva doesn't cook dinner. We just order pizza. Or, Eva cried because Simon got home late. I listened carefully, filing every detail away. The cracks were showing. Simon still worked long hours, just like before. But now, Eva was the one waiting at home, bored and lonely. And unlike me, she had no patience. One afternoon, my son came back upset. I asked him what was wrong, and he said, Eva yelled at me because I spilled juice on the couch. My blood boiled, but I stayed calm. I held him close and whispered, It's okay, sweetheart. Mommy's here. Inside, though, I was smiling. This was exactly what I had been waiting for.
So I leaned in.
Whenever I dropped my son off, I made casual comments to Eva, always with a sweet smile. Oh, you look tired. Long night. Or, it takes a lot to keep a house running, doesn't it? She would force a laugh, but I saw the frustration flicker across her face. Slowly, the weight of real life was crushing her. And I was there to watch every second of it. The breaking point came faster than I expected. One evening, Simon called me, his voice strained. Olivia, could you take our son for a few extra days? Eva's overwhelmed. Overwhelmed. That word nearly made me laugh. She wanted my life. She took it, and now she couldn't handle it. Can you believe that? Because I almost couldn't. I agreed, of course. I welcomed my son home, cooked him his favorite meal, and tucked him into bed with a smile. But later that night, I poured myself a glass of wine and thought, this was just the beginning. If Eva thought motherhood was some romantic movie, I was going to make sure she lived through the full, unfiltered version. Every chance I got, I reminded Simon of responsibilities. Did you pay for his school supplies? Don't forget the parent-teacher meeting. He's been having nightmares lately. Maybe you should talk to him. All perfectly reasonable, all perfectly designed to overwhelm Eva. Because the truth is, Simon was never the most hands-on father. That left her carrying the load. And it showed. Weeks passed, and soon even Simon's patience wore thin. My son came back from a weekend visit and casually said, Daddy and Eva had a big fight. She cried a lot. That was the moment I knew I'd won. The final straw came when Eva showed up at my door, makeup smudged, looking like she hadn't slept in days. She said, I don't know how you did it. I can't do this anymore. She was shaking. She was broken. And I'll never forget the way she looked at me, like she was begging for mercy. I leaned against the doorframe, calm and collected, and said, You wanted this life, Eva. You took it from me. But you never understood what it really meant. Then I smiled. Motherhood isn't a game. And marriage isn't a fairy tale. You'll learn that one hard day at a time. She left in tears. And not long after, Simon called me again, his voice weary. It's not working out, he admitted. She wasn't ready. I didn't say, I told you so. I didn't need to. I just listened, knowing I had already won. In the end, I didn't have to destroy Eva's new life. She destroyed it herself. All I did was give her a little push, and reality did the rest. Looking back now, I don't feel guilt. Not an ounce. She betrayed me.
She stole my family.
But in the end, she got exactly what she deserved. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit subscribe and turn on notifications because I have so many more true life stories to share with you. Trust me, you don't want to miss the next one. And if you are ready for another dramatic story, click this video right here.